For years, we were told that age decides everything about energy, confidence, and intimacy. We were told that shape or size decides even more, but real life and real biology point in a different direction. What truly matters is healthy circulation, comfortable fit, emotional safety, and the way two people listen to each other. When those 4 pillars are in place, the numbers on a measuring tape fade into the background. Tonight I'm here to simplify a topic that often creates anxiety: girth versus length, and what actually matters for intimate well-being and connection in the real world. My promise is simple. By the end of this narration, you'll know how to focus on what is within your control, how to support your body's natural physiology, and how to build confidence that does not depend on comparison. Let's start by clearing the fog. When people ask which matters more, girth or length, they are usually hoping for a single, decisive answer. But anatomy does not work by single-factor rules. The human body is adaptive. Tissues warm, vessels dilate, muscles coordinate, and the mind sets the tone. Comfort is not a fixed number. It is an interaction between bodies, breathing, and trust. Many people imagine a perfect metric that guarantees satisfaction, yet most partners discover that the path to satisfaction begins far earlier, with blood flow, with relaxed attention, with a pace that respects the body, and with honest, simple words. The question is not which wins, girth or length. The real question is, how do we create the conditions in which the body responds well? The first condition is circulation. Intimate well-being relies on vascular health. When arteries are responsive and the inner lining of those arteries, the endothelium, releases enough nitric oxide, tissues become more supple, warmer, and better nourished. That vascular responsiveness depends on daily habits more than genetics for most people. 10 minutes of brisk walking after meals, 2 sessions of simple strength work per week, a reliable sleep window, and steady hydration form a foundation. These habits sound almost too ordinary, yet they are the quiet machinery behind vitality and maturity. If you keep blood moving, nerves conduct signals more cleanly, muscles coordinate more smoothly, and comfort improves. Put differently, circulation sets the stage long before anyone worries about dimensions. The second condition is comfort and fit. The lower pelvis is not a rigid container. It is a living, flexible space framed by bone, supported by muscles, and richly supplied by nerves. In many bodies, the outer portion of the canal near the entrance contains a high concentration of tactile nerve endings and responds to gentle, consistent contact. Deeper regions often respond more to pressure and a sense of fullness than to pinpoint touch. That means girth tends to influence contact with the walls and entrance, while length relates to how far pressure can reach deeper areas. But here is the practical truth. Too much of either can reduce comfort if the rest of the conditions are not right. The best experiences arise when pressure feels supportive, warmth feels welcoming, and no part of the body feels pushed beyond its natural stretch. If you take one idea from this section, make it this one. Comfort always wins. The third condition is nervous system state. A tense system resists. A calm system receives. When a person feels rushed, judged, or distracted, their nervous system interprets that as a mild threat and redirects blood and attention away from the pelvis. When a person feels admired, safe, and unrushed, the opposite happens. Pelvic floor muscles soften, blood flow rises, and natural lubrication improves. This is why mindful breathing and slow pacing are not soft concepts. They are practical physiology tools. 3 rounds of slow nasal breaths before closeness can change the whole tone of an evening. A sentence that says, "We have time," can do more for connection than any technical trick. The body listens to feelings and adjusts blood flow accordingly. The fourth condition is communication. Not dramatic speeches, just tiny course corrections. Softer or firmer, slower or steadier, higher or lower. These are simple words, but they do what no metric can do. They translate another person's inner experience into action. If you want a North Star, remember this line: consistency and communication feel better than guesswork and intensity. Many climactic moments fade when people switch patterns at the last second, chasing novelty. Many satisfying moments unfold when people keep a gentle, reliable tempo and check in with short questions. With these 4 conditions in place, circulation, comfort, calm, and communication, we can talk about girth and length in plain language without anxiety. Girth influences how fully the walls near the entrance are engaged. When contact is broad and warm, many people feel supported. When contact is too narrow or too firm, some feel less grounded. Length influences the reach of pressure. For some bodies, deeper pressure can feel meaningful when the surrounding muscles are relaxed and the angle is cooperative. For others, deeper pressure is not the goal at all. Too much can create a sense of urgency or discomfort. The key insight is that there is wide, healthy variation among bodies, and relationships thrive when the goal shifts from chasing an ideal to discovering a comfortable fit together. Let's zoom out and look at the myths that complicate this topic. The first myth is that visual media shows a normal baseline. It does not. Angles, lighting, and selection bias distort perception. The second myth is that satisfaction is a property of one person's body rather than a property of 2 people cooperating. In reality, satisfaction is a team sport. It depends on timing, on softness in the right places, on breath, and on the willingness to adjust. The third myth is that bigger is always better. The pelvic floor is a complex sling of muscles. When it braces defensively, sensitivity drops and comfort drops with it. For many people, what feels best is not extremity. It is steadiness, warmth, and a pattern that their body can settle into without bracing. Now let's speak about comfort cues that anyone can learn to notice. Warmer skin, longer exhalations, small sounds that lengthen rather than tighten, a natural tilt of the pelvis that leans toward rather than away. These are green lights, shallow breaths, shoulders creeping toward the ears, a subtle withdrawal, or a voice that suddenly goes quiet. Those are yellow lights. When you notice green lights, keep the pattern steady. When you notice yellow lights, slow down, reduce pressure, and ask one short question. It is not about analysis, it is about presence. When people feel seen, their bodies stop guarding. The next question many people have is whether there is anything they can do to support comfortable fit if they worry about girth or length. There is, and it is mostly about the environment you create. Warmth helps tissues adapt. Time helps muscles let go. A neutral, unscented, water-based lubricant reduces friction and protects delicate skin. Changes in angle, like placing a small pillow under the hips to alter the direction of pressure, can transform the experience without any change in size. Gentle, full hand contact around the hips or lower abdomen can provide a sense of grounding that reduces reactivity. If you take your time and let the body catch up to the moment, the idea of fit expands. It is no longer only about dimensions. It is about matching the moment to the body's readiness. Because we care about long-term well-being, let's stack the small daily habits that improve circulation. Start with the easiest win, a 10-minute walk after your main meal. Think of it as a vascular rinse. Muscles act like sponges, drawing sugar from the blood, calming the afternoon crash, and sending a pulse of flow through every vessel. Add 2 strength sessions per week, using movements you can maintain. Sit to stand from a chair, wall pushes, hip hinges with a light weight or a bag. Strength preserves muscle fibers that act as tiny pumps supporting circulation. Sleep at consistent hours so hormones that govern energy, appetite, and recovery return to a steady rhythm. Hydrate. So blood volume remains adequate. Thick, sludgy blood does not flow cheerfully. If you enjoy food as medicine, a few natural choices have a long tradition and modern support. Pomegranate, beets, and high cocoa dark chocolate contain compounds that support endothelial function. Not as a miracle, but as a nudge. A handful of berries, leafy greens, and omega-3 rich foods help calm low-grade inflammation that can stiffen vessels over time. Spices like cinnamon and ginger add warmth and may support metabolic steadiness. None of this is a substitute for movement or sleep, but together they create an internal climate in which vessels respond more easily and tissues feel more alive. Let's also talk about pelvic floor care in a way that is friendly and safe. The pelvic floor thrives on balance, strength to support, relaxation to allow. Many people only train one side of the equation. They tighten, 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 and forget to release. Over time, a constantly braced floor can reduce comfort and even reduce sensitivity. A simple practice helps. Inhale and imagine the pelvic floor softening, as if the sit bones gently widen. Exhale and imagine the floor lifting just a little. No straining, no forcing, just a wave. A few breaths like this daily can change how the body meets pressure and how the body signals safety. When people feel safe in their own body, confidence grows without any change in numbers. Confidence matters because the mind is the amplifier. Body image anxiety narrows attention to comparison, which shrinks presence and drains warmth from the room. Confidence shifts attention outward, toward shared experience, toward breath, toward the other person's comfort. The paradox is that when you stop evaluating yourself minute by minute, your body often works better. Blood flow improves when anxiety eases. Muscles coordinate when the brain is not busy judging. The quality that partners repeatedly describe as most attractive is not a number. It is calm attentiveness. Calm attentiveness says, "I am here with you. I am listening. We can take our time." Calm attentiveness is free, learnable, and independent of girth or length. Because many ask about the science of sensation, let me offer a low-key map without jargon. Near the entrance of the canal, the tissue is especially sensitive to gentle, consistent contact. Many people feel most of their tactile sensitivity in this area. Deeper regions often interpret stretch and pressure more than surface lightness. This is why some people prefer a feeling of supportive fullness, while others prefer a focused sense of presence without deeper pressure. With arousal, blood flow swells tissues, changes angles, and increases natural lubrication. These changes are not optional. They are the body's preparation. When you take time for warmth, for affection, and for calm breath, the body builds a better environment for any contact that follows. You do not need to memorize anatomy. You only need to give the body time to do what it is designed to do. What about discomfort? Discomfort is a signal, not a challenge to push through. If something burns or pinches, reduce pressure, add lubrication, adjust the angle, or pause. If discomfort persists in daily life, consult a trusted clinician because persistent pain may reflect pelvic floor tension, skin sensitivity, or hormonal changes that deserve kind attention. For people in menopause or perimenopause, moisturizers designed for intimate skin and appropriate lubricants can make a visible difference in comfort. None of this is a failure, it is maintenance, no different from moisturizing your hands in winter or adjusting your glasses to see clearly. Let's address expectations influenced by social media. Camera lenses exaggerate length with perspective. Lighting and grooming draw the eye in ways that change perception. Selection bias means we see a narrow slice of reality, then we compare ourselves to that slice. You are not a special outlier because you are not a camera trick. You are a normal human with a living circulatory system and a nervous system that prefers kindness over pressure. When we return to what is true, movement, sleep, breath, food, hydration, and respectful conversation, we rediscover satisfaction that has nothing to do with impressing a camera. Now let's make the discussion practical for couples. A simple ritual works wonders. Before closeness, share one sentence each about your day. Then share one gentle breath together. That tiny pause recalibrates your nervous systems. During closeness, keep language simple and kind. Softer, slower. Yes, like that. Stay there. After, ask one small question. What felt best? Then save the answer. That is your real guidebook, and it is customized by the only person who matters, your partner. Repeat this over weeks and you will collect a handful of reliable truths, none of which require chasing extremes. You will know which angles feel supportive, which pace feels natural, and how much time your bodies like to warm up. You will discover that consistency is far more influential than size. Because many wonder about supplements, here is a carefully neutral approach. Some people explore nutrients that support circulation, citrulline from watermelon, nitrate-rich beetroot, polyphenols from pomegranate and cocoa. These can be pleasant additions for people without contraindications, but they work best on top of the basics: walking, strength, sleep, hydration, and calm. If you take medication or have a condition, speak with your clinician before adding anything new. The goal is steady, sustainable wellness, not a stimulant roller coaster. The body loves rhythm more than spikes. A word on compatibility and fit. Imagine shoes. Comfort depends on width, flexibility, and the way your foot moves over time. The best shoe in the world is the one that lets you walk freely for hours without thinking about it. Intimate fit is similar. The ideal is not a number. It is the moment when both people can focus on each other instead of monitoring discomfort. People rarely talk about this because they think fit is fixed. It is not. Warmth changes fit. Breath changes fit. Angle changes fit. Lubrication changes fit. Fully relaxed pelvic floor muscles change fit. The more you work with your body, the less numbers matter. An important note for anyone recovering from anxiety, stress, or burnout. A stressed brain often downregulates desire and comfort. This is not a moral failing. It is a protective reflex. The antidote is not to force the body. The antidote is to build a day that invites the body back to safety. 10 minutes of sunlight in the morning, a walk after lunch, a wind-down routine at night that replaces screens with something slow, stretching, gentle music, a warm shower. The brain will notice these cues and send more generous signals to the body. Once your nervous system believes you are safe, your body will respond more like it used to. Many people think they need a radical solution. Often they need regular kindness. Now let's humanize the data with a few brief stories that highlight progress through habits, not numbers. A 59-year-old man, worried because he compared himself to images online, committed to walking after dinner and lifting twice a week with a simple routine. 3 weeks later, he reported warmer hands, less afternoon crash, and a calmer presence with his partner. Nothing about his measurements changed. Everything about his confidence did. A 62-year-old woman, curious about comfort, started a nightly 5-minute breath practice and switched to a neutral, water-based lubricant. 2 weeks later, she described less reactivity and more ease. Again, no changes to anyone's size, only changes to circulation and calm. A couple in their late 50s added short after-meal walks together and turned those minutes into phone-free conversations. Their word for it was not science. Their word was lightness. Lightness is what you feel when your nervous system trusts the moment. Let's tie the bow on the girth versus length question with the most honest answer I can give. Girth changes how broadly contact is felt near the entrance. Length changes how far pressure can reach. Both can be positives in the right context. Both can be negatives if the body is tense or unprepared. Neither guarantees satisfaction. What predicts satisfaction far better is a trio: adequate warm-up, so tissues are ready, a pace that becomes predictable enough for the nervous system to settle, and micro-adjustments guided by simple words. If you put that trio in place, the edges smooth out. If you ignore that trio, even ideal numbers struggle. Because these conversations often trigger old shame, I want to speak directly to anyone who has carried comparison for years. You are not a graph. You are a person capable of learning to move, breathe, and speak in ways that invite connection. You are also capable of building the kind of day that keeps blood vessels responsive. Let your new comparison be with yourself yesterday. Did you walk? Did you sleep? Did you hydrate? Did you speak kindly? These are the metrics of a body preparing for better evenings. A final set of practical takeaways, simple enough to remember. Move after meals for 10 minutes. Keep 2 strength days each week, short and repeatable. Sleep at regular hours and protect your wind down. Hydrate through the day. Choose a neutral, water-based lubricant when dryness or friction is likely. Use small words to guide the moment. Notice green lights and yellow lights in the body. Practice pelvic floor balance with breaths that soften on the inhale and lift gently on the exhale. Add foods that support endothelial function as small pleasures, not as obligations. If discomfort persists, reach out to a clinician you trust. None of this needs to be dramatic. Small, steady actions compound into confidence. If you've been waiting for permission to stop worrying about numbers, this is it. The body you have today can respond beautifully when you give it the right inputs. Partners can thrive when they stop trying to win a comparison and start trying to make a moment feel safe, warm, and steady. The science is kind to anyone who chooses steadiness. Vessels respond, muscles remember, the mind unwinds. Here is your one-line summary to keep in your pocket. What really matters is not girth versus length, but flow plus fit plus calm plus communication. If you build those 4, satisfaction rises even when nothing else changes. If you ignore those 4, satisfaction stalls even when numbers look impressive. That is the quiet truth most people never hear because it isn't flashy. But it works. If this message gave you a lighter way to think about intimate health and well-being in maturity, try one change today. Take that 10-minute walk. Choose the earlier bedtime. Drink the extra glass of water. Share one sentence with your partner and one slow breath. Then notice what shifts over the next week. If you discover something helpful, pass it along to someone who needs less pressure and more clarity. And if you want more conversations like this, kind, practical, science literate, and focused on confidence, stay close. Your body holds more potential than you've been told. Give it steady support, and it will meet you halfway.